The inheritance is there. God not saying, I'm going to be like, no, I'm not. I don't want you to. He even told the Pharisees, the reason why people not entering in is because of y'all. You are holding people back and making them children of hell, not children of heaven. So we won't inherit it because of our own fear and our own unbelief. Not because the Most High isn't in the blessing business. Not because he haven't pointed out the blueprint and the map. It is because simply we fear or don't believe. And because of our fear or unbelief, we won't pray. We won't think as one and say, let us petition the Father to give us. Let him see we united in our belief he's going to take care of us. That will allow you to not inherit the kingdom. Because the kingdom is even nigh. It's in your mouth. It's in your heart. So if you're so fearful to not even take hold of what's in your own mouth, in your own heart, then you don't deserve it. I'm like, wow. The Lord said, check. He threw me the ball back. I threw it all at him. Let go and let God. No, let go and let God in you work. Let go and let God, meaning let go, ain't nothing you can do. He got it all. No, let go of your selfishness and let God in you, which is selflessness and love. Let that work and watch the kingdom just materialize before your face. Like the Death Star or something. Just appear, that joint cloak. Hit the button, that joint just appear in front of your face. Man, I'm telling you, it's so amazing when I look at the similarity of Messiah, Moses, the salvation of our fathers and the salvation of us. Now, because I was like, well, how was the glad tidings that was preached to them the same thing that was told to us right now, about 3,500 years later, and to Peter and them 2,000 years later? How is that the same thing? Brothers and sisters, I'm starting to see more how it was exactly the same thing. Okay, let us go ahead and move on. Bondage is what we are being brought out of. And we can't stand at the Red Sea and start to, because of our fear, say it was probably better to not have gotten into this thing, y'all. Because we're scared. Because the world is coming after us. Pharaoh might send it. Pharaoh and his armies is coming. The backlash of the capitalists and those who love this world is coming. We don't want that. That's our Pharaoh and his army.
Or don't want to hear the people telling you about it. Because actually it was saying they ain't want to deal with Moses, wasn't it?
Yeah. They got
leave
there.
us alone.
Yeah, they got there. They got there in the wilderness. It didn't take too much. I think we might come into that. Let us go to Exodus 32 right quick. Let us see what happened right there, since you brought that up. Let us go to Exodus 32. How you going to tell this man to leave you alone? Get out of my life. Messing it up.
I guess each time he came, stuff was getting worse. When he first came to him, they had at least somebody bringing them provision with the brick. After Moses left running, it got harder.
They said, man, you
making it harder.
You making it hard. Our work has gotten harder. Just think of that.
That's real.
Those who gonna come in the name of the Father and truly tell the people what it is, the society, when they see the people want to leave society and want to go and serve the true living God and totally separate. No, my son gonna come out here and I'm not leaving one cattle hoof here. People try to, the government try to, the system try to make it where it's like, well, serve your God this way, because in that way you'll still be serving him, but still keep a great portion of your life with us. So you can come back to that life. That's what Pharaoh's like, oh, we can serve y'all God, a couple plagues, all right. Well, look, y'all go ahead and do it, but just leave y'all kids and y'all cattle and stuff here. We not leaving a shoestring. We not leaving no dung in the land. You understand what I'm saying? Not from our animals. our whole society must get away from you in order to serve our God. The Most High was trying to serve from the beginning. I want my people to totally, societally separate themselves from this culture and society. Goshen was a start, but it's not going to last forever. Us coming together and forming a community with one another, it's a start, but it's not going to stay there forever. Eventually, Jerusalem shall be capital for world policy. But until then, we got to get our Goshen on. What's good? That's what are we producing for these children? We talk about the education system so much. Sometimes you be like, yo, we talk about the education system again? Because you went to sleep to it and woke up. What about how the evils of the education system? Is we talking about what they doing? What to the food supply? They calling back all the cabbage. What states did our cabbage come from that state? We talk about all of this, and I ask you, what definitive, consistent moves are being made so our children don't have to worry about a cabbage scare? What happened? Cabbage supply? Well, we know it didn't come out of this field. The education system is doing what? They're purposely trying to inoculate young girls with birth control. They pushing safe sex into the schools, meaning you could fornicate. We know what your God said, but no, you could actually do that and be safe. If you make the decision to just go upon your lust, you can still be safe. Safe mean okay. When I hear that, safe sex is what? Oh, that's okay sex. Got you. Brothers and sisters, let us not be deceived. Are we doing anything so that when these children become ready for high school years, ain't nobody worried about them going to the public school for high school? And not just these children, but even other children that may come. Do we know who we're going to run into in the next 10 years? What's going to happen in the next 10 years if that's God's will for us? Do we know? How many more families going to come among us with children and going to desire to homeschool and educate their babies to keep them from the ills of society so they don't feel outcast all the time? They ain't got to sit in a separate classroom at the Christmas party. They ain't got to sit in a room while everybody eat cake and cupcakes at such and such birthday party. My dad said I can't have none. If I stick my kid in a classroom where they celebrate all the things of the world around my kid, and through his lust or her lust she participate, I'm a hypocrite if I whoop him. When I find out and I'm mad because they participated. Because I didn't do nothing to protect them from being in that environment in the first place. That's all I'm talking about. You understand? What you mean leave and go serve God and leave our children here? Brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, this salvation is real. And it's supposed to be tangible after the initial salvation that arises and the hope of salvation in our heart. Now something's supposed to be produced in a tangible world. Go ahead, brother. Verse 1 and then skip to verse 4. Exodus 32, verse 1.
And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. Verse 4.
Yes.
And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
Do you see how they turned back to the service of the gods, which by nature are no gods? What did he tell us in Galatians chapter 4? When you were without God, you served the things by nature which are no God. And how, after have you known the true God, do you turn back to them weak things? Brothers and sisters, our mothers and fathers seen more than our eyes have seen. and they turned back. And this is why this is so prevalent. We haven't seen all they've seen. How much easier would it be for those of us sitting here to turn back to the weak stuff that we claim we left? We were in bondage to and we're free from. How? I mean, honestly.
Some of us have done that.
Yes, brother. Some of us have done that. Go ahead and continue, Brother Judah. Read the verse 9. Yeah.
And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, tomorrow is a feast to the Lord. And I guess I would say tomorrow is a feast to Yahweh. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play. And the Lord said unto Moses, go, get thee down, for thy people, which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves. And they have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people.
These people hard-headed. And I ask you, how many people would say that, well, the people fell into mischief and corrupted themselves because Moses took too long? Rather than the people fell and corrupted themselves because their hearts was evil. So, is this thing taking too long for us? Taking too long? A little too long, huh? We're going, you know what, this thing taking too long. These promises and this joy and this peace that we heard about, man, we don't know what's become of that because things is taking too long. They ain't seen Moses in a month and a half almost. We ain't seen this man. We've been sitting at the bottom of a mountain waiting for this dude.
He was going over a month.
According to the flesh, I understand what happened.
Right.
Where this man at?
ain't seen him in weeks.
How you gone 6 weeks and we at the bottom of a doggone mountain in the wilderness and we just supposed to be faithful and stay here?
Because he never said how long he'd be gone. That wasn't privy to them, right? He just gone.
And after this,
man, that's
a murmuring rose among the people where leaders stood up and said, yo, we gonna go back to Egypt. They wanted to go back and deal politically with the rulers of Egypt. What they gonna do, apologize for what happened? We sorry what the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did to y'all, but we back. How can we work together? How can we be as one? And I'm telling you, when I hear the offer from some of these people, part of the Finn movement,
oh yeah,
that's the same thing I get from them.
yeah. Tell them what the Finn movement is.
Oh, Phiin, and it's a dot between each. It is the pseudo Hebrew Israelite internet nation.
The internet nation.
Because that's as far as close as people willing to get. And that's as far as the truth and the doctrine of coming together will ever come. As close as, however close you can be to a person through an email or Facebook status, that's as close as these people gonna be to nationhood. If they don't take heed and accept the plan that has been set out by the Messiah and by his apostles and prophets. And we will be the same thing. We may just have made a couple moves more or something. You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's it. You know, a loser in a race is still a loser, even if you finished 7th and he finished 11th.
That's right.
I'm still a loser. I just finished 7th.
Right.
I ain't gonna brag about being in 7th place. What would you finish? 17? Man, I was 7th. Who was 1 though? That's all I want to know. Paul said it's only one winner to a race. It's only one people that's gonna win this race. And you know who them people is? Only the Son. The Son of God will win this race. And he called the people his son. He didn't just call Yeshua his son. He called the redeemed believers out of all nations together. The Israel of God he talked about in Galatians at the end of the chapter. That's his son. His firstborn, who he want. And he telling the global capitalist structure, give me my son so he can worship me. And if you don't, I'm going to kill your son.